Hi everyone, I can truly say in this video that it has definitely been a long time no see, and I'm so glad that this video that I get to start with can finally be the one video that truly created Tina Got Saved and the whole reason to why I started doing this in the first place. This video consists of, just a life-changing event in my life that has been truly been able to impact everything. And so I can't wait to be able to share it with you all and to be able to share God's glory and his wonderful, wonderful joy and what he's done to me. So today I will be talking about my testimony and to the reason of why I became a Christian in the first place. So for certain purposes, I will not be sharing the name of a lot of things or a lot of people because of privacy reasons, obviously. So as you all know, I was grown up in an Islamic household because back in Iran, when you're born into a household, you are forced to be Muslim. So it doesn't really matter what you believe in or what truly is the truth. You're just supposed to be Muslim, and it's obviously illegal to be able to convert to any other religion. It would eventually lead to persecution. So, for example, Christianity is a big no-no, especially if you are born a Muslim. I wasn't really religious at all. I did believe that there was a God, that there was a higher being, but nothing that really changed me. And so even when I was raised in India, I would always pray to God, and I thought that, the God only knew Farsi, so I would tell people around me that, hey, if you have any prayer requests, like I can pray for you because he only knows Farsi. Definitely not the case. So eventually years passed by, and me, my mom, and my brother, we are currently living in Iran, and I end up getting a 2-year scholarship to this boarding school back in Austria. So not thinking much of it, I eventually do move to Austria, and the first year was great. Everything went perfectly. However, the second year comes and we are in our TOK class, so Theory of Knowledge, because I studied IB. And I go on having this big debate with my classmates about how God is not real and how religion is so stupid and it's just used to control everyone. And so I go on and I go on, and I'm telling this to fellow Orthodox Christians, right? And so I go on, I have like this rage in me that's like, oh, God is not real, this can't be possible, or whatever. Around a week passes by, and I'm sitting in math class, and out of a sudden, I feel woozy, I feel dizzy, I cannot concentrate on what's happening, and I'm like, oh no, am I having an anxiety attack? Because I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. So I go to my room, I take a anti-anxiety pill, and then I go back, and I'm just sitting in class, and I'm holding onto the chair with like both of my hands, and I'm trying to focus on what the teacher is saying, but then everything is just like spinning and everything is so dizzy. And I'm just like, oh, what is happening? Then I slowly start to lose every single sensation that I have in my body, and boom, I'm gone. Everything is black. I wake up, I have my teachers like standing right above me. They're freaking out, and I'm having a seizure. I have no idea what's happening. I have no control over my body. My mind is completely blank. My body, no feeling whatsoever. It's just that I'm there on the floor and I have no idea what's happening to me. And everyone who's standing right above me is freaking out. So eventually I start freaking out too, and that causes the seizures to get even worse. And eventually it just keeps going on for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I feel so sleepy. Like I'm starting to doze off, and then I have my teachers yelling at me, don't sleep, don't sleep. And in my head, I'm like, what is happening? Am I gonna die? Is this it? Like, am I gonna die if I fall asleep? And I'm sort of asking my question. I'm like, oh no, like, is there anything? Is there anything that I missed? There's so many stuff that I haven't done. Like, what am I missing? I continuously have seizures, and I start choking on my own saliva until the ambulance comes. They take me to the hospital, and I end up being hospitalized for one night just so they could keep an eye on me. Throughout this one night, I was all alone in another country without my family, without my parents, and I was scared. I didn't know who to turn to, and came to a point where I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom, so I'd have to have the nurse help me up to go to the bathroom. It was truly the scariest night of my life, I can say. eventually the next morning I get released and I head back to the boarding school. So I'm thinking, oh, everything is fine, even though my body is still so weak. I get to the school, I'm in my room, I take a shower, I have like these patches all around my body, and it's just like, yeah, it's a pain to look at my own body. And I'm there, and eventually my history teacher and another teacher, they come in the room and they're like, we think that you overdosed on pills, which wasn't the case. And so normally they would, expel a person, but because they saw me as a really good student, yeah, they just decided to just send me back home for a while, and then whenever I was feeling well to just come back. So when I hear this news, I end up having another seizure because I'm just freaking out, and I'm like, oh, did not expect that. So yeah, eventually they're like, okay, you have, I think, 2 to 3 hours until your plane leaves, pack up and leave. Like, we'll take you to the airport. And I'm just like, wow. Didn't even give me the chance to recover. So I pack up everything and I'm on my way. I get to the airport, and the airport is the scariest thing ever for me at that point because I could not stop having seizures. I could not get up. I was so tired. I was so scared, and everything was so blurry for me. And it was just like, oh no, like, why? What am I doing here? I cannot do this whatsoever. I get on the plane and I'm alone and I'm just freaking out. And then eventually the flight attendant comes and is like, there is another Persian in this plane, and I think it's best if you sit with them because they can help you. So at that point, I'm like, yes, anything. So I go sit with the person, and she is this absolutely really, really nice human being. And she says that she used to suffer with these as well. And so she tries to calm me down and she looks after me. Eventually, when we do arrive, she helps me check out and everything, and I go to my dad. So I get back home, and I thought that it'd be all over, right? But no, I was wrong. Next day, I wake up, I start having a whole bunch of seizures. Like, I get up, seizure, I do something, seizure. And it was just so, so tiring that I ended up being on couch rest because, yeah, whatever I were to do, I would just end up having a seizure. So my parents had to like build like a whole pillow fort below me just in case I were to have a seizure and fall off. So yeah, just week passes by, we go to the doctor, and at first they don't take me seriously, but then eventually at the doctor's appointment, I do end up getting a seizure, and they're like, okay, no, she's being for real. So then they eventually, tried to send me to a professionalist. However, with the Dutch healthcare system, it takes months because you are consistently on the waiting list. So at that point, I was super, super lost. I was so tired of having those seizures. I would have like 6 to 10 seizures a day, and it was just absolutely terrible because I couldn't stop crying every single day because I genuinely thought that this was going to be my life for the rest of my life. Until one day I woke up and I was like bawling my eyes out, and I had this sudden urge that I want to go to church. May I remind you that my dad converted to Christianity. So I go up to him and I'm like, Dad, can you take me to church? And then he's just like, wow, yeah, of course, okay. So we get to church, we get to his local church, and the moment I step in, I start bawling my eyes out even more, and I'm just mesmerized. I am taken by the Holy Spirit, and I do not have a single seizure throughout the entire church service, which went on for 2 hours, and it was just a shock for me, right? It was a shock for my dad as well. So we get home, the next day we get a call, they're like, hey, a spot opened up. And at that point I'm like, yo, that is no coincidence. So eventually they send me to this healthcare institution where I was taken in for a week, where, yeah, I'd be in a room with a whole bunch of cameras, and they would just constantly check up on me to see how my seizures were, how long they would last, what would really calm me down. They tried different things. And during that moment, I really tried to use the time to get closer to God. So I would read my dad's Bible. And eventually, after having all the tests done on me, I get the diagnosis, and I get diagnosed with psychogenic non-epileptic seizures. So they just tell me what the procedures are, what has to be done, or what my parents can do, or what one can do when I do receive these seizures. So I eventually get sent back home. get sent back home, and I get signed up for one of the mental institutions in the Netherlands, and they assign me to EMDR and body motor therapy so they can be able to control my seizures and to access the trauma that has potentially caused these seizures. So eventually months pass by, I get baptized, I try my best to get closer to God. However, there is still a big part missing inside of me. There's still this big void. During these past couple of months, I am still experiencing seizures. I still go through them, and eventually I get really tired. There was a while where it had reduced, where I thought, okay, maybe it's the EMDR sessions are starting to work. However, they just surprised me at the end of the day. The moment there was something triggering or something stressful, I would end up having a seizure. So eventually August 2023 comes up, and I'm like, okay, let's go to Portugal. So I go to Portugal with to visit one of my friends who lives there. She's a Christian herself, so I stay with her for a week. Eventually she's like, hey Tina, there's this night service church. Obviously it's in Portuguese, but she would translate everything for me, God bless her. She's like, there's this night service church, how about we go there, you might like it. So it would start at 11 p.m. and would go on until like 5 a.m. or something. I go there, in the beginning it's all fun, it's all nice, and then they had this theme where it's like you write down something that you want God to delete from your life, and you just like put it on the paper, and you just put it in a jar. So I obviously put my seizures. I put it in the jar, and then the pastor starts saying like, okay, who wants to get healed? Who has something in their life that they want God to remove instantly, and like who's just tired and everything? And may I remind you that I do not know where I am. I am very, very uncomfortable because of not knowing the language, and there's so many people there, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really tired of my seizures. I have this boiling voice inside of me that's saying, go to the front, go to the front. And, I go to the front having this rage inside of me towards God for the fact that I gave my life to God. However, why am I still having these seizures? Why am I still suffering? Why is my life still such a mess? Because not only did I fall out of education, I fell out of my social life. I fell out of everything practically. Like my life really took a big step back. And I was just so mad at God. And just being there, like, it took a lot of gut, if I'm honest. I really, really didn't want to be there in the first place, but I really forced myself into it. And so I go to the front. My friend comes with me because she wants to translate everything. And so the pastor says that, okay, we're going to have a whole bunch of people come over and pray for you. And you just pray to yourself as well. So I close my eyes. First person comes in. I feel like a little woozy. I feel dizzy again. And I'm just like, I don't like this. Then the second person comes in and they start praying over me, and I start getting the symptoms that I would usually get when I was about to have a seizure. And I was like, no, I cannot have a seizure here. Like, this is absolutely crazy. Like, I forbid it, as in like telling my body, And so the third person comes, and that's when it was it. She comes up to me and she's like, the only way God can heal you is if you forgive all those who did you wrong in your life. And at that moment, I'm just standing to myself. My body is shaking, and I'm just like, I forgive them, Lord. I forgive every single person. And I start naming them, and I'm like, I forgive him, I forgive him, I forgive him. And and I forgive them. And she prays over me. And I start shaking and I start bawling. And then when it's done, I felt free. I felt like this huge burden was just lifted off of me. And I felt so lightweight, like, what just happened? And I honestly thought that it was because of the fact that I was about to have a seizure and I didn't. So usually if that would happen, then I would get really tired and it would eventually come back even worse, because it's like it needed to come out, but it didn't. So then it attacks like twice as much more. So I'm like, whoa, this, I feel lightweight, probably because I'm going to have a seizure later on. A day passes by, nothing. 2 days pass by, nothing. A week passes by, nothing. A month passes by, nothing. Here we are, here right now, absolutely nothing. Almost a year later, nothing. The Lord healed my seizures that day. And ever since he healed my seizures that day, I have turned into a whole different person for the Lord. I have given my life to him. I have had this fire passion for him in my heart. And every single day I have spent my life wanting to get to know him more, wanting to spread his joy and his glory, because at that moment when he released me from that burden, when he set me free, I felt like I could do anything. Everything in my life started to work out according to his will, according to his plan. I started to get back on education. I started to get back on friendships. I started to get back on my activities, my skills. I started to feel alive again because he made me reborn. He took me from that situation and he brought me here to this point where I get to have the opportunity to be blessed enough to share it with you, to be blessed enough to tell you that our Lord Jesus is alive and he is working. He cares for you. He loves you, and he doesn't want you to go through anything bad. And even when these bad situations do come up, don't blame him. Don't blame him, because he is the only one who will save you out of those bad situations. When these bad situations come up in your life, he will use them to bring you to him. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. He used my seizures and he brought me to him. And now I'm free and I'm loved and I'm cared for and I'm in his presence constantly. Obviously, it's not easy. Obviously, you're going to go through spiritual warfares, but it's all so worth it for the love that he gives to you. It's all so worth it for the joy that he provides, for how much you get up day by day feeling so thankful for all that he's done, because he's just so good. He cares for you so much and he truly, truly loves you and he wants the best for you. And nothing is ever impossible for him. So guys, just getting to know him, just being with him is so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's heavenly. It's absolutely heavenly. And I couldn't be more grateful than to have him bring me to this point, bring me to where I am now. And I just want to tell you that whatever you're going through, lean on him. Love him. Because he loves you so much that he will do anything for you. Thank you guys for standing by and listening through the whole thing. If you find this encouraging, then please share it to someone who really needs to hear it, someone who may be struggling with seizures themselves, just, to try and show them that God is still working and that God will play a role in their life, whether it's soon or whether it's later on. Because keep in mind that even for me, even when I did give my life to him, it still took a while until he set me free. And that's okay, because in that while, you get to experience a lot of stuff. You get to learn a lot of stuff that really brings you to a point where God is like, okay, she is ready. You are ready. So whatever you're going through, just know that he will help you and that he will bring you prosperity. He'll bring you joy and he'll bring you peace. I truly, truly hope and pray that this video can be able to have any sort of impact into, just the way that you see him. Just to realize how wonderful he really is. So I love you all, And remember, Jesus always loves you. Take care. Bye bye.